Hey guys, today I'm going to go through the most common question I get asked as a business broker from business owners: what's my business worth? My name is Robert Collet. I'm a partner and business broker at businessexits.com. If you want a free valuation, I'll put the link in the description and we can give you a free valuation on your business. So jumping into the number one question that we get as business brokers: what is my business worth? How much can I sell it for? What's the valuation? So today I'll go through that. The basic answer is it's somewhere in the range of 3 to 5 times your earnings. Now we'll break that down. When I say earnings, I'm talking about seller's discretionary earnings. We are going to add back your owner compensation, personal expenses, things of that nature to arrive at our adjusted earnings number. But buyers are willing to pay in that range of 3 to 5 times earnings. Now, are there exceptions? Yes, we can get higher sometimes. Sometimes we have to go lower because there are risks in the business. We'll go through all of that stuff. So jumping into it, we're going to jump into Excel, give an example, business. Let's say it's growing nicely, making almost $1 million in this last year in SDE. I'll just take you through the math really quickly on how we do what we call add backs. That's the personal expenses and officer salary and things like that we add back to the net operating income to arrive at our seller's discretionary earnings. So you've got your revenue, your COGS, your expenses, including your officer salary expense. All of that totals your net operating income, which is what you'll see in QuickBooks, above your net profit. So the difference between net operating income and net profit is below net operating income, you have some other income or other expenses that are usually kind of unrelated to the business itself or ongoing operations. So it's things like foreign transaction fees or capital gains from selling location or equipment. We usually take this net operating income number and then do our add backs on top of that to arrive at our SDE. So I just wanted to show you that math. Now let's say we've calculated our SDE. This will help you even if you want to present your business yourself to buyers and bring this to market yourself without a broker. You can use this math to look more professional, present your business using the math that buyers use to look at businesses. So once you've got your seller's discretionary earnings number here, you can present this to buyers and say, look, it's growing great, 10, 20% year over year, making almost $1 million in this last year. Let's say we've got this SDE, we're going to multiply it by maybe 4 or 5 times depending on the business. So the multiplier is the hardest part of valuing a business. Do you multiply this number by 3, 4, 5, 2.5, 6? Depends on how strong the business is. Is it going to continue growing? Is it easily transferable to a new owner? So we'll go through the pros and cons of a business. Let's say this has a lot of recurring revenue, contracts are in place, you've got a GM and another VP that a buyer can lean on and they're staying in the business. The owner is working 10 hours a week. They've really kicked back and this thing's on autopilot. That's a really attractive business, right? So that'll sell for more like 4 or 5 times. If it's got a lot of risks, let's say they've got a lot of customer concentration. So one customer makes up 60% of revenue. That's a huge risk for a buyer. So they're not likely to buy that for 4 or 5 times. Even though you're making $1 million in earnings a year, it's a huge risk for a buyer to plop down 4 or 5 million, and then that customer might go away next year, and then you're back at 400K in earnings or whatever. So it's all about risk for the buyer, and that's part of what we do as brokers when we approach buyers with businesses. We are negotiating against their risk tolerance. That's how I explain it the best. So for a buyer, they're just assessing, when am I going to get a return on my capital? Is this the best allocation of my capital? That's what we're arguing against when we present a business and the valuation. And our valuation has to be justified, right? So it's got to be based on solid earnings with a solid business that's going to continue for the buyer, not just fall apart after closing. So that's kind of the math on the financials when you look at your QuickBooks or your Excel sheets. We'll go through the pros and cons. So kind of like I touched upon, if it's growing, SBA financeable, meaning that the buyer can leverage loans like the SBA 7A loan to acquire your business. That's going to make it more attractive because they can put down 10% to acquire the business. It leverages their cash more efficiently. anything you can do, whether it's seller financing or offering SBA loans through the government to help acquire your business, that's going to make it easier for the buyer to acquire, right? Longer history, bigger earnings, repeat business, recurring revenue, all those things are huge pros for buyers for any business. The cons, like I touched on, anything risky like customer concentration, really young business, maybe it's dependent upon one SKU that's doing really well for the past 2 years, but it only started 2 years ago. Anything like that's going to lower the valuation or lower the multiple, which then lowers the valuation for the business. So if you look at our website, you can see our current listings, and you can see some of the multiples and revenue and income that we have on certain businesses. So when you click into a business on the listing page, you can see exactly what multiple on what income that we use to arrive at the asking price. And you can see once you sign the NDA for the business, this one's under contract, so it doesn't have an NDA currently. But if you click into the listing and you sign the NDA, you'll then get this SIM on the business, which tells you the justification for the price and why the business is good or what the risks are. We explain all of that. So I hope this was helpful as far as explaining valuations. It's probably the hardest part of putting a business for sale is arriving at the valuation and justifying that for buyers. If you have any questions, give me a shout, leave a comment. We can do more videos or shoot me a private note. And that's it for today.